مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا، سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء، كان في عطفه لليتامى تفا. مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا، سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء، كان في عطفه لليتامى تفا. حن قلبي له فاض شوقا إليه، ليس أرجو سوى شربة من يدي. الصلاة عليه والسلام عليه، للسماء ارتقى فأتى بالنقى، وغدا وجهه نيرا مشرقا، كان من عفوه حين حان اللقاء. قال فلتذهبوا أنتم الطلقاء. مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا، سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء، كان في عطفه لليتامى تفا. حن قلبي له فاض شوقا إليه، ليس أرجو سوى شربة من يدي. الصلاة عليه والسلام عليه، كان في هديه منهجا وسطا، كان تسعده بسمة البساطا. سيد في الكرم قمة في العطاء. مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا، سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء، كان في عطفه لليتامى تفا. مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا، سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء، كان في عطفه لليتامى تفا. مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا، سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء، كان في عطفه لليتامى تفا. حن قلبي له فاض شوقا إليه، ليس أرجو سوى شربة من يدي. الصلاة عليه والسلام عليه، للسماء ارتقى فأتى بالنقى، وغدا وجهه نيرا مشرقا، كان من عفوه حين حان اللقاء. قال فلتذهبوا أنتم الطلقاء. مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا، سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء، كان في عطفه لليتامى تفا. حن قلبي له فاض شوقا إليه، ليس أرجو سوى شربة من يدي. الصلاة عليه والسلام عليه، كان في هديه منهجا وسطا، كان تسعده بسمة البساطا. سيد في الكرم قمة في العطاء. مصطفى مصطفى منبع للصفا سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء كان في عطفه لليتامى تفاء.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear brothers and sisters, again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and we welcome you all to this, inshallah, an amazing conference, a conference that I think was well overdue, a conference that will, inshallah, get you reconnected to the Muslim world, a conference that will, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that will reconnect you to the Quran and the Sunnah. We pray that it reconnects even the ulama to the actual task of reviving the Muslim ummah. Inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rabb, that Allah Azza wa Jal gives us tawfiq, puts barakah in this conference, and inshallah makes it a successful conference that will be able to be a tool in the revival of the Muslim ummah. Dear brothers and sisters, of course, the theme of the conference is 2020 curse or a blessing. We have chosen many topics, and I think many of you are, you were following us and you were seeing the type of topics that we have chosen. Brothers and sisters, you're also aware of our work. You're aware of what I do, what Islamic Oasis does, what the brothers who are connected to Islamic Oasis do. We have been around the world. We are on the ground in war zones, in Muslim refugee camps, from Rohingya camps to the Syrian camps to Mali to Somalia, to Palestine, to Kashmir, to Afghanistan. We have our brothers working on the ground, and as you know, many of these places I myself have visited and have seen things, to understand and bring to you the realities of the struggles of the Muslims. Brothers and sisters, wallahi, our goal with this conference, and inshallah, as days go on, the hours go on, the minutes go on, you'll be able to see the kind of people that we have been able to, we have been blessed to bring to you, inshallah. People who I consider them heroes, and I think most of the ummah will consider them as heroes. People who have left the comforts of their homes and of their communities and of their their countries even, and are struggling for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overseas as doctors, as teachers, as people who are working day and night to make sure that this ummah gets back to its work, revives, goes back to the work and the objective that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And yet that objective is kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrajat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us the best nation ever to be raised for mankind. A nation that is a nation that guides, a nation that enjoins the good and forbids the evil, a nation that produces the best of the best examples for the world, a nation that understands the problems of the world and brings solutions to that world. And this is why, and that is the reason why Allah called us and gave us that status anyway, that we are the best, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned us to be the best. So that is the whole point of this, inshallah, the conference. The conference, it will begin today. As I'm giving the introduction for this, inshallah, we will have people as Dr. Shajul Islam, inshallah, who I will interview, and we will discuss with him the realities on the ground inside Syria. Yeah, this is rare, brothers and sisters. This is very rare. Being able to speak to someone who is on the ground, who's been on the ground for the last 6 years, who's seen the struggle inside Syria, who understands, who's been through the revolution inside Syria, a revolution that began for change, that began a call for, to change the situation on the ground in the Muslim world, a revolution that call for the removal of the tyrants such as Bashar al-Assad, lanatullah alayh. He has seen the work of, those who were struggling on the ground, from the ulama, from the activists, from those people who are sincere sons of this ummah. So it is very important that we connect to men like this. That it's very important that we connect to the sons of this ummah, who are many times forgotten. Especially us living in the West, brothers and sisters, it's very easy to forget what's taking place. Even to the point, and even our ulama, and in many ways are, not all, but in many ways have made us almost forget the struggle of the Muslim world. This, almost disconnecting us to what is taking place there. It happened where we have seen in the last 4, 5, 6 years, if not last 10 years, that we have seen that ulama, rather than connecting us to the struggles of the Muslims overseas, they have disconnected us. They have almost made it as if it's not important. Just worry about what's happening here. And subhanAllah, brothers and sisters, what's amazing is that because we did not worry about what was happening and what's happening in the Muslim world, now everything is being brought to us. So it's very important that we connect with the Muslim world. It's very important that we connect with those who are working and struggling in the Muslim world. Those who are trying to change the situation. Those who are talking about real matters, right? What we may think is a curse is actually a blessing in many ways. It could be a blessing. So we'll talk to scholars, we'll talk to activists, we'll talk to people from our community here in the West and overseas, and we'll, inshallah, at the end, we'll be able to see what, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never tests us in anything, that will, inshallah, will bring goodness to the Muslims and the Muslim world, bi'iznillahi ta'ala, and to humanity, to tell you the truth. Another goal, bi'iznillahi ta'ala, is that we saw that the Islam, brothers and sisters, that is being presented in many ways, is been Islam that is somehow compromising to our real ideas, to the real, the aqidah, the core of Islam, the aqidah of Islam, the ideology of Islam, the mabda. In many ways, it's almost as if it's it doesn't, disconnected us in many ways. We, an American type Islam was put together in order to, even divide Islam according to where you are. A Bangladeshi Islam, a Pakistani Islam, American Islam, a Western Islam, Middle Eastern Islam, and and you can see the push for that that's taking place, right? I mean, you see, even unfortunately, ulama who are talking about with what's happening, for instance, with the situation in Israel, pushing the Muslim world and to basically compromise and literally just allow the occupation or continue the occupation of Israel, for instance. And there are ulama from the West here who have actually signed on to that. and have pushed it in those ideas in the Muslim world. So there is a lot going on. I mean, the struggle of the reverts in this country, for instance, right, where they seem there's such a confusion that you see them asking questions. Can we say Merry Christmas or not? Are we allowed to say this or not? Are we supposed to have dinners uh, with our families who are, or with their families who are still not Muslim, and celebrating holidays that are obviously not from Islam? uh, the aqidah, the way it's supposed to be thought, is not being thought. In many ways, I think that we have actually abandoned the reverts, not teaching Islam the way it is, disconnecting them to the real books of Islam. And that is also by design. There are many organizations in the West and in the East who are being paid by governments in order to produce, and present a certain type of Islam. So inshallah, we will have that discussion with reverts, those who came back to Islam, who reverted back to Islam, and they will talk about what's actually happening, what's actually happening to how they are being educated, who are these people who are talking about things that that were very clear in Islam and almost are being made as if it's confusing. Uh, the issue of homosexuality, uh, now we are seeing movies are being put together by Hollywood, and I think there's one that's coming out in Ramadan, pushing and the idea of homosexuality in the hearts and the minds of the Muslims, so that they almost forget, as if this is the real struggle rather than the struggle to bring back Islam, the Deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. In many ways, even maybe presenting these ideas, this filth, in a way where we forget the real struggle, and we just discuss. We bring Islam down to such low level discussions, right? Rather than presenting Islam as a solution, and presenting Islam as a way of life that solves these problems. How does Islam look at homosexuality? How does Islam look at building Islamic personalities? How does Islam look at solving pandemics? How does Islam looks at solving the economic issues of the day, the financial problems that people are going through? What, is it only, and everyone, whoever presents Islam, they're only presenting an Islam that is almost as long as it keeps the status quo. But brothers and sisters, all of us are aware that the status quo is not going to do anything to us. Rather, the status quo has brought us to this situation where many countries in the West, and even it's on a verge of collapse. So inshallah, we will have people like, inshallah, Dr. Muhammad Malkavi, Dr. Malkavi, inshallah, Abu Talha. He will be here. He will be live from he will be live from Jordan, inshallah, and he will be talking about economic system of Islam. Talk about the prospects of Islam. What does this actually look like? Him being on the ground, in Jordan, and in the heart of the Muslim world. So you have, inshallah, you will have a doctor who is in Syria, who will be talking to us about what's happening in Syria. You will have, inshallah, a doctor who is in, an intellectual, a doctor, an activist, a person who is working, whose most of his life has been working and educating the Muslims, to bring Muslims to Islam, and to reconnect us to Islam as an ideology, not just as just a spiritual guide, rather a guide for mankind in every affair. So inshallah, he will be there, and I request all of you from the deepest part of my heart that have your children watch this. You as families watch the interviews, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, wallahi, we because we are not showing to our youth who the real heroes should be, right? People like Dr. Shajul Islam, and many others like him, people who have spent all their lives trying to work for the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, struggling, sacrificing, giving up for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we are not showing real world, real life heroes to them, we find that the youth in the West are looking up to, Kanye West, or basketball players, or football players, or wrestlers, and heck, even youth killing themselves, for shoes. I mean, the point that I'm trying to make here is that because that we were not able to provide uh, and show them, not that they don't exist, but we were, the way it was, it was presented as if even looking at them is a crime. Although they exist and they are doing the work of serving humanity, they're serving this ummah. So, inshallah, once that the interview with Dr. Shajul Islam will begin at 5 o'clock our time, or 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, 6 o'clock our time here. Within next 40 minutes, inshallah, we will have a little bit of his background for you, that you'll be able to see the medics that are working so hard in Syria. The other thing also, every discussion that we're going to have here, the different type of scholars that will be coming, like we have, for instance, Dr. Or the scholar Sheikh Yasser will be here, Al-Wajdi. Inshallah, he will be talking about the huruf topic. The reason why we actually chose that topic, brothers and sisters, as you know, there were scholars in the beginning of this year that were talking about the Quran as if the Quran is either, the discussions that they were having is as if it, in almost to put doubts in the Quran. Brothers and sisters, when a scholar speaks, the job of a scholar is that if he starts a topic that may make someone question something or put some type of a doubt in someone's heart, that scholar, his job is to actually clarify the doubts and make sure that he clarifies things, and he makes sure that the da'wah is presented in such a way that if there are any doubts in the minds and the hearts of the people, they're actually removed. That is the job of the scholar, not to advertise their organization or to advertise their school. Oh yeah, if you have any doubts, come and such and such. No, you have to present Islam the way it is, and you have to actually make people come to Islam and come to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah, the reason why we asked Sheikh Yasser and Nadim to come and speak on the topic of the huruf of the Quran, the 7 letters from the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that the Muslims actually gain confidence that how, subhanallah, how the Quran is preserved. How the Quran is preserved, the work that the Sahaba did, how the work that the Prophet ﷺ himself in his lifetime to make sure that the Quran is preserved and it is there for you as reference, as because this is our book, this is our way of life, right? So the process from that time, from the preservation of the Quran, from the life of the Prophet ﷺ all the way to Uthman, inshallah, he will discuss those details with you so that you can use that to be able to bring people to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other thing is that we are going to have, inshallah, scholars such as Sheikh Asim Khazi and others, inshallah, who will be coming and talking about from misery to mercy. And the reasons why we are introducing scholars, brothers and sisters, is that, it's I think what has happened in the last few years is that we have been made almost by force to just watch or hear to only a certain scholar. And then they have been given all types of resources. They have been given all types of, limelight. They have been given all, it's like as if there's no other scholars except these people, right? And then, they've been given some letters, they've been given some credentials in order to make it look as if without these scholars, there is nothing else can happen. But that was done also by design. And then you find those same scholars who are sitting with people who support LGBT and homosexuality and things that we never thought is possible, that scholars would do that. I mean, scholars were known to be people who were connected to Allah Azza wa Jal. People would just go and sit with them. I mean, you find statements from the Sahaba or from the ulama of the past that just sit with the people of knowledge to gain the barakah from them. That was just sit with the people of knowledge so you can gain barakah from them. Today, it's sickening to find that you have ulama, you sit with them and you almost want to take your children away from them because you don't want your children to hear the kind of discussions and the topics that these people are talking about. And I don't want my children to hear from such and such scholar about LGBT and homosexuality. This is filth. Why would I have my 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 20-year-old, anyone, my children or my family, sit and hear this kind of nonsense from a scholar? What we want to hear from the scholar is, when I hear a scholar, he puts it in me that I fear Allah Azza wa Jal. I get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I get closer to the sunnah of the Prophet. I love Rasulullah. I love this deen. I get motivated to work for this deen. I get motivated to read the Quran every day. I get motivated to get to work and work hard day and night to bring Islam. To the point, what we are finding are that rather than working to bring Islam, we are being told to integrate with kufr, with almost, with filth. So this is another reason I think what we need to do, brothers and sisters, is, we need to connect with ulama, and we need to connect with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to connect with those people who will connect us to the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not about following personalities, because, brothers and sisters, wallahi, it's amazing that people are following personalities rather than following Quran and Sunnah, rather than Dalil. I mean, it was shocking to me what level that we have gotten to when one of these basketball players was killed in an accident. You had Muslim youth crying, making dua, R.I.P. this, R.I.P. that, this, as if they have no understanding. Are we allowed to make dua for someone who is not a Muslim who passes away? Are we allowed to, what kind of people are we supposed to look up to? Right? But in many ways, it's our fault, because we didn't provide the right heroes for them to look up to. I mean, many people know Shajul Islam, but I can tell you many youth have no clue who Dr. Shajul Islam is, for instance. And yet there are thousands like him in many war zones who are working to serve the humanity. An example, people who are really actually, dying, struggling, sacrificing their wealth, their health, everything in order to please Allah, just so Allah becomes happy with them, just so they can enter Jannah. These are real scholars. These are real men. These are the people of this ummah. This is what the nation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam produces. So inshallah, we will have also Sister Zakiya. We will have Sheikh Usman. We will have many people who are, as you know, brothers and sisters, I'm sure many of you, if not at least a large number of the Muslims, I don't think have ever been to the south side of Chicago, are not able to connect with the rivers, especially African Americans, to see what it is that they go through. All of these things are going to be discussed. So inshallah, it's very important, brothers and sisters, that you stay tuned. Ask questions, really ask questions. This is rare opportunity for a lot of you guys to have almost a direct conversation with doctor. Ask him about his childhood. For today, inshallah, every day we're going to have someone that you can ask all these questions to, but people like this are rare. Ask him about his childhood, what motivated him to be in these lands. He's a doctor. Many doctors, you can see, brothers and sisters, it's amazing how many doctors this ummah has, but there are very few who are using what Allah has given them, the skill to actually serve the ummah. Many people, they have so much knowledge, so much understanding, but they sit at homes and they forget that, that this knowledge they will be asked for on the day of judgment. We'll be asked about what we have done for this ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have Dr. Musa'ad, inshallah, someone who's a scientist, someone who understands what it means to teach, who has actually is someone who has in many ways produced other PhDs from Cornell University. He will be talking about Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He'll be talking about what it means to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Brothers and sisters, what we went through in the let's say last 2 months, in what we saw happening in France. I mean, it is amazing to see that there was no response, to the point in many ways we actually saw that that the Muslims, especially in the West, right? I mean, we had people who were coming and telling us on national TV and radio here, Muslim organizations, telling us that, it's okay if you want to insult the Prophet ﷺ. Well, that's supposed to be freedom of expression, freedom of speech. But the real question, brothers and sisters, is that, we did not see the kind of things, let's say when a sports star passes away, right? An athlete, let's say, right? Somebody, a hero. When Khabib, for instance, when he came, Khabib, however you say his name, for instance, when he won, I mean, the amount of, how people were talking about what this man was doing. Oh, look at this. Oh, but brothers and sisters, subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ was insulted. The Prophet ﷺ was insulted. They made his pictures and cartoons, and they put it on, on actual government buildings. But the Muslim, many of us were not even concerned. We're not even concerned. I mean, it was like something else. I mean, you asked supposed students of knowledge, and they didn't even know. And many of them, you don't even think that's concerned. I mean, the question that really comes in is that the scholars, I mean, has teaching the deen become a business, or is it really about getting your foot inside the Jannah? I mean, if we, with the knowledge, if we are not able to put the love of Rasulullah in the hearts of the youth, if we are not able to connect to Rasulullah, I mean, to the point Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, In kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah. If you want to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He put loving Rasulullah as a condition, as a demand. So how is it that if we are going to teach our youth Sharia, we are going to make them graduate for, in programs, 7 years, 8 years, whatever it is, all kinds of things happening all across the country, all different madaris, all kinds of institutions. But when you talk to the youth of these institutions, you find that, what happened here? The other thing is that what needs to be addressed is, are we teaching our youth to be men? Are we teaching our youth to be women? Are we teaching them to be able to stand for something? Right? I mean, what do our youth know about this deen that they can take a stand for? Can we really talk to ourselves and say that, what, we are actually the next generation that is going to come up, right? The next generation will be a generation that will work day and night in order to revive this ummah, that will revive the real books that need to be taught in order, bring the real books and connect us to those real books, to be able to connect to the Quran and Sunnah, not just for the sake of, oh, I can recite well, or I can read well, or I can give a khutbah, or I can look really nice in a halaqah, or I can wear a dress this way or that way. Or have we really taken this deen in a way where they are proud of this deen, they have confidence that they can answer any question that is put to this deen? This is what we need to do. And inshallah, this is the beginning of something. This is the goal of this conference, is inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are able to bring back that love and that awareness that made the Muslims who they were in the past, right? That were able to give the world. Imagine the ayah, يُخْرِجُونَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. Today, brothers and sisters, does anyone has a doubt that the whole world today is in darkness. I mean, darkness. People are suffering financially. People are suffering because they don't have health care. In a country that is so one of the richest countries on the face of the earth, if not the richest country on the face of the earth, does not have enough beds for the poor. You know, does not has no clue what needs to happen. You know, a financial collapse could be coming. A collapse of a whole system could be coming. People have no clue and are not sure what will happen to them the next day. Hospitals are overwhelmed. The healthcare system is just collapsing. The school system, education system for the poor was not there from the beginning and is not there today. Look, brothers and sisters, I live in the city, right? I live in the city, and I saw what was happening to the students in the city. What was the quality of schools anyway, even before the pandemic, and now what's happening. So inshallah, we will have certain people, they'll come, the scholars, teachers, community activists, they'll come and talk about what they're actually seeing and what, you know, what their demands are. They will come and talk to you, inshallah, discussing with you the realities of what they're facing day and night, whether this before the pandemic and during this pandemic. There were some questions. I think there was a question, what can we do to remove those money money scholars? You know, I call them carpet scholars or red carpet scholars. Yes, we have a lot of those red carpet scholars. And brothers and sisters, the reason why we have red carpet scholars is that we have stopped questioning them. We are not questioning. Look, brothers and sisters, uh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no one that is better than anyone else in this deen. Right? We don't have a clerical class. This clerical class, this ulama class that we see today, that is being built, is being built in a way that in order to almost, you know, if you look at what happened overseas, for instance, in the Muslim world, if you look at, you know, some of the scholars that were put together, that were brought out, that were shown to the world, that were able to speak, and I'm not talking about the ones that were jailed, but any part of the Muslim world, they were bought in order to use certain parts of this deen because they knew that most of the people have grown up in a secular society. What they know is math, science, and English. Right? They went to universities. They have no clue what Tawheed means. They didn't, never understood, never gave time to really understand what that means. So then, but these guys, they were able to fool the people to the point to accept to a point where now there were people who have gone to universities to you know, to madaris and become murtad because of the type of Islam that is being taught. Islam, the idea, even the aqidah is not. There are many schools that are told not to teach it properly. For instance, al-wala al-bara is not taught in schools. Aqidah, you know, Tawheed al-Hakimiyya is not taught properly in schools. The only, as I said, I mean, it's almost a secular Islam that is being presented, that is being taught, that is being pushed. And then in the name of scholarship, this is happening. In the name of scholarship, you will find that kid, you know, you will. So it's not just that, okay, how do we remove them? Number one, we need to educate ourselves. We need to reconnect ourselves. We need to put ourselves and our children and support real scholars and be able to see the difference between a scholar who speaks the haqq and a scholar who's being shoved down our throats, right? Red carpet scholars, you know, business scholars, you know, YouTube scholars, uh, board pushed scholars for the masajid just so that they can only speak on a certain tone and only on certain topics, so that the ummah never becomes aware of what's happening. Never. Don't discuss anything that will make the Muslim aware of, hey man, this is my deen and this is my deen. This deen is so beautiful. It offers everything to me. It has answers for everything. It's not just about praying, you know, qiyam and siyam and salah and zakah and hajj, but it's about struggling. It's about bringing the deen to the whole world. It's about presenting an economic system that actually can solve the real problems. I mean, look, I was at a place at one of these schools the other day, and I was just talking to some scholars, they were young scholars, and we were talking about, for instance, what should happen to the farmers that are struggling in India right now. That's not even a discussion. Why do we care about what's happening to farmers? 1 million farmers about to march on, let's say, in Delhi, that are coming and they are going to stand there till April for demands so they can have, because so many farmers are actually committing suicide. I turned around to this scholarly class and I was telling them, okay, so you are going to be the next class. I just want to know, what does Islam have to offer? What would we have to offer? If somebody puts me, says, oh, you're Muslim, you say Islam has a solution for everything. Okay, come here. Can you tell me how would it solve the problem of the farmers? What would you tell us what the answer should be? And if you can't answer that, that's a big problem. That's a big problem. Then what did you do 8 years, 7 years in a madrasa? Did we just what? Why did we? Why, I mean, can you imagine? You go to a lawyer, a law that goes to law school for 8 years. What do you expect from a lawyer here that goes to law school for 8 years, 10 years? I mean, you're learning jurisprudence, you're learning fiqh. So, inshallah, as I said, we are going to bring, inshallah, scholars. So you'll be connected to those people who will come and talk about those things. Inshallah, we will continue doing this. This is not, inshallah, not the last conference. This is beginning of something, inshallah, with tawfiq Allah Azza wa Jal, something amazing, bi'iznillahi ta'ala. Then we have also, as I said, we also have a lot of rivers, brothers and sisters. I talked about this earlier, but the reason is, for instance, they say 60% of those who come to Islam leave Islam. And this is something, it was shocking, but I read it one of these studies. They're saying that now, how true is it? True? I'm not sure how true it is and how valid it is, but it was there, and saying that, so many Muslims, so many those who come into Islam, they also leave Islam. I mean, I've seen people gone to madaris and leave Islam. Think about this, brothers and sisters. You have Muslim youth who are going and learning the deen. The only reason they're doing this is because their parents forced them to do it, right? Memorizing the Quran and then smoke weed after. Why? Just for Ramadan, they memorize the Quran so that they can lead Taraweeh, for instance. And after Ramadan is over, literally this, you have parents who come to us and complain to us that this is what's happening. But how is that possible? Somebody who studies Islam 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, sitting with ulama and does not understand, right? Aqidah still. So this is, these are the discussions, we had all over. We were talking about it with so many places, and we saw that even the organizations were not doing justice, right? I mean, there are conferences going on all over. I mean, look at their topics. Look at the type of people that they're bringing for our children to look up to. I mean, think about this. Then we don't expect our children to follow the footsteps of those who are LGBT or whatever, but then you have those type of people who are coming and speaking to thousands of people live. Thousands of people given a seat, sit down and respectfully talk about how we should, in the name of benefit. And then if our children are turning out to be in the conditions that we are seeing, then we are complaining, why are we in this mess? I mean, you have boards who are talking about, look, this generation, they're worried that they're not even getting enough support for masajid to continue, because it was the old, uncles and those people who were immigrants here who were supporting the masajid. The youth who are born and raised here are not supporting the masajid. Many of them don't even go to the masajid. So this is something to think about. I mean, this is a crisis. Atheism, people leaving Islam, turning to kufr, becoming atheist. Why is this happening? And why are we not addressing that? I mean, who should be addressing that? And even when we address it in a way to make sure that everybody is happy. You can't be happy with kufr. So again, the point, brothers, is whole conference will bring you and connect you with many personalities from the ulama, from all over the world, from teachers, from different people, inshallah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah Azza wa Jal makes it successful. Inshallah, we're going to also have, right before Shajul Islam comes on, because we don't have much time, we need to bring him on. We have 15 minutes. There's going to be a video that will be played soon about who Dr. Shajul Islam is. Please stay tuned. Get ready. I mean, you don't have to listen to my boring lecture anymore. You're gonna inshallah now listen to some real heroes of Islam. And brothers and sisters, really ask the kind of questions that you want to ask. these are rare opportunities. I call them people of Jannah. They're in a whole different zone when they're in this part of the world, right? Working in a whole different way. So inshallah, 15 minutes. Stay tuned. Jazakumullah khairan. We'll get back to you in 15 minutes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
And just found it.
2 days of Russian airstrikes against terror groups in Syria.
In the beginning of 2019, Russia and the regime broke the ceasefire and started their indiscriminate bombing on towns and cities in northern Hama and southern Idlib. This is a traditional tactic used by Russia to force the civilians out of their homes before starting an offensive. But always this tactic ends in many civilians being killed and injured. We're now on the M5 highway, and as you can see, the sun is setting almost. But we're actually driving against the clock right now because as soon as the sun starts setting and it starts getting dark, the Harbi Rashash, they call it, it's like a fighter jet with machine gun, which patrols this highway, shooting anything moving on it. So we kind of got to get to our location quickly. Now the problem we have, surface-to-surface missiles are coming in right now. So we're not sure exactly where, but they're most targeting this road. So right now it is very dangerous, but we don't have much choice but to keep going. Just keep going. We have good experience from previous battles and knew that the enemy's first targets, the first line of defense in their eyes, were the hospitals.
They told me just look at where the rocket came in from. That's what they said. They said it's some sort of drilling rocket or something.
How did they hit this place? Was this just one bomb?
Yeah. They didn't find the prophet's body, bro.
No way.
They only found his hand.
For a long period of time, we had been working and aiding the hospitals in the region, namely Kafr Umbul, Latamna, and Kafr Zayta. All these hospitals are spread over the vast front line against the regime. The Kafr Umbul Hospital, the Kafr Zayta Hospital, and the Latamna Hospital all became the first casualties in this new offensive for Khan Shaykhun.
Okay, so now we're in Kafr Umbul. Kafr Umbul had the main hospital in the whole of the south. It's been hit again and again over the last few days. We're just going to check the extent of the damage and to see if the hospital is still able to be operated.
The loss was unbearable, and its effect on our priority of helping the people agonizing.
So we're now in Kafr Umbul Hospital. As you can see, the whole hospital has been destroyed. This hospital has been getting hit for the last 3 days. The main hospital here, totally been rendered out of action. There's nowhere for the people to go when they get injured. This is what we're seeing. Over the last 3 days, every hospital in the whole southern region has been destroyed.
حاليا القوات عم تتحشد، قد تكون ساعة الصفر باتجاه إدلب اليوم، قد تكون بكرة، قد تكون مطولة. بكل الخيارات نحن جاهزين، بس اجانا أوامر ساعة الصفر. الجيش السوري إذا أخذ قرار قادر يفوت على أي مكان دون استثناء.
We realized the time for frontline medical work was knocking at our doors, so we hastened to prioritize our workforce and resources.
I want to show you something. This is the future of hospitals in Syria. This is a new project that we're currently building, and this is a cave which has about 13 meters of mountain on top of it.
We rushed to complete and activate an emergency field hospital in Khan Shaykhun. We knew the battle was inevitable, and there were still civilians clustered around northern Hama countryside surrounding Khan Shaykhun. Within days, we managed to make a formidable medical point in Khan Shaykhun
to counter the murderers of women and children. However, little did we know the earth upon which we were standing was the bull's eye of the Russian campaign.
So here we just received quite a lot of news from website. This patient behind me is going to have to go straight into operation. Thank you. وخلي go around and bag him عشان مش هنزمر اخي يلا الان جاي So alhamdulillah, we just finished with this case. This patient, alhamdulillah, is okay. Unfortunately, one of the patients died, and we had about 3 or 4 minor injuries, relatively minor injuries.
As the days passed, the enemy increased their bombardment exponentially, and the offensive seemed imminent. We realized that the front line was too big and it would be very difficult for the civilians and the rebels to reach a medical point from such a wide front.
So we're now on another mission now. Alhamdulillah, our plan is to go and set up a medical point, a surgical point, right next to the Turkish observation point. Let's see the reception to us, because right now all the hospitals in the southern region have been bombed.
We decided to set up a temporary point in Shermaghar, hundreds of miles away from our main medical point, to help those in need.
Stop, make sure get no shrapnel. خذوا يلا I think they're aiming for us or something, bro. Yeah. They're trying to hit us.
No. Did he pull it? I don't know. Hold on, let me check what's going on over there. Excuse me?
This whole area has no hospitals, no pharmacies, no nothing. So we are the only people seeing patients. Patients are flooding in. It's quite dangerous. You can hear mortars coming in one after another. Just got this little guy is coming. There's been a lot of mortars landing here. Small shit here to the head. It's nothing serious. It's very, very dangerous for us to operate here.
Even the Turkish point was not free from the horrendous bombardment, so we didn't stand a chance. After helping a few patients, we got news that the regime is opening fronts in all directions, and the towns and villages around us was falling rapidly.
This is just an example of how fast front lines change and how difficult it is for us medics to work. You see, we just came here yesterday and already the front line shifted. We didn't expect such areas to fall so quick, and that's what makes our work so difficult.
We were forced to evacuate as the Turkish point became the new front line, so we rushed back towards the center of the unfolding exodus and the merciless massacre of Khan Shaykhun. But little did we comprehend the sheer magnitude of the events to follow.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, our speaker will be here very soon in a very soon matter, inshallah. You're more than welcome to ask your questions during the live stream, either through Facebook, through Save a Life campaign, through YouTube, through any of the accounts that we are streaming through. You're able to ask a question, inshallah, so that we will get it answered. We are actually monitoring all the questions down. So any question you have, brothers and sisters, please do so share. And just as a reminder, inshallah, Dr. Shajul Islam actually lives in Shamm. He is actually working there, and he has been working in multiple hospitals as well as the construction and running them, as we have placed it in the introduction earlier in the video. So inshallah, the connection might not be good at certain times. So just realize that he is live from Shamm. So certain connection issues might occur from his side. From our side, inshallah, everything should be good and cleared. Bismillah. So if you have any questions, brothers and sisters, please do ask. This is an opportunity. This will be a great opportunity for your children to watch, for the youth, for people who are in college, who are figuring out what do they want to do with their life and what is their intention as far as what they want to decide to do in their life as far as being Muslim. Dr. Shajul Islam is someone who the youth should definitely look up to, someone who are youth that desire the needs of looking up to leaders and mentors. So inshallah, Dr. Shajul Islam will be a perfect example that inshallah your children will be able to ask questions. As I mentioned, inshallah, he will be coming very soon, and he will be, as you saw in the video earlier, brothers and sisters, he is a person that's actually working on the field. So it's very different, as many of us, alhamdulillah, we do work, but he is there living on the ground. So it's not that he comes in and out, he is actually on the ground. So brothers and sisters, we are about to start very soon with Dr. Shajul Islam, and I'll be transferring the mic over to Sheikh Shirazi. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.